and we can start with the session.
Sure, sure. Give me 5 minutes. I think people are still joining. So once
Hmm.
everybody is here, we will start.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Rishikesh. I think Rishikesh has conducted a session last year also, and he had,
Yeah.
remember, he wanted to come back and do a session. So good to see him back.
In fact, he was the first one to nominate for this event.
Oh,
I didn't have to wait for volunteers. Yeah.
that's really nice.
It's always good to help you guys.
Thank you, Rishikesh.
I'm glad you remember. Prasad, I
Of
thought
course,
you
I
had to.
remember you spoke also that you wanted to come back and you want to do more volunteering, and now I could see you. I saw your name also that day in the email, and I was so I could recollect that it is the same Rishikesh, I suppose. And like Nita said, you were the first one to nominate. So nice, nice.
Yep.
Prasad, I think in interest of time, should we start because we have many things to cover.
Yeah, yeah. Give me 2 minutes. Let me get the PPT on the screen. Hmm. I think 32 people only have joined. I'll request all my London and India colleagues to ask your colleagues to join in quickly. Smita, I'll do a quick introduction also again because I see a lot of people are joining again. So everyone, hi. We have today with us Rishikesh and Rachna who are going to conduct the session for us. And along with Rachna and Rishikesh, we also have Smita from JPMC side. So Smita is the person of contact for Lenda and India in JPMC. She has been there for a good 5 years now, and all the events that we see happening is because of Smita. So thank you, Smita. Also, we would like to welcome Rishikesh and Rachana. So Rishikesh is volunteering for the second time. He had conducted a session last year also, and Rachana has come up for the very first time. But I'm sure last time I met Rachana in the previous call, and she showed a lot of interest. So I'm sure the session is going to be really interesting. So over to you, Rishikesh and Rachana. I'll share the screen from you.
Yeah, sure, Prasad.
Thanks, Prasad. This, I think, is the old slide.
Yeah, actually, we shared a new slide with you, Prasad. Not the.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me just get back to the new one.
See, for the Friday email, Prasad.
It was on the Friday email, okay. So I think this was the one I shared with you, I guess.
At 8:10, I had sent you, huh? You want me to send you?
No, no, it will be there then. Nita, I can't see it on the Friday email. So can you send me quickly? Hey, Smita, I can't hear you.
I was not talking. I was asking you
Yeah,
which
sorry.
email ID you want. Lenderhandindia.org or lenderhandindia.org. It's
Both are
Lenderhand
same.
India
You can
is
send it on any.
any. I'm sending on both because
Yeah.
they look different little. So. Da, 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 da. You should have it down.
Yeah. Give me a minute. I think it is taking time. So, meanwhile, Rishikesh and Rachna, if you want to give them some heads up, you can do that.
Okay. Okay, we can start. I think in the meanwhile, you can open the slide. Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. It's a very good opportunity to come here and talk to you guys about workplace ethics. And this is nothing, I don't think it's anything new to you guys. These are the terms which we hear day in, day out when we are working in office. So, Rishi and I will not be talking about something you don't know, but it's good to discuss these topics because even though unknowingly we are in the workplace where we do stuff we don't realize if it is not correct or if it's incorrect, so it's good if we go through the slides and talk about these topics. Okay, so let's keep it interactive, lively, and we promise not to make you asleep, especially when it's scheduled after lunch, right? Let's not slump together. So let's ask questions wherever you feel so. Stop us, it's fine. Okay. So to start with, like, what is ethics? And let's keep it interactive. I want to hear from you all. And you, if you guys can go on camera so that we can see you as well. Okay, I can see people turning on their cameras. Okay, great. Okay, so just let's talk about ethics, not workplace ethics, just ethics. Anyone? Okay. So I think the definition of ethics is in the word itself, right? Ethical, like you need to adhere to the morals and principles. That's ethics. Trustworthy. It's like if your actions are aligning to your words, you're considered trustworthy, right? 1 second, there's some glitch. Yep. What is third? Edge. Next is edge, honesty. If you're going to the importance of your truthfulness, your transparency, if you're transparent to people, it's considered honesty, right? Integrity. Ethics always requires integrity. So if you're holding on to your morals, even if there's any difficult situation and you're going to holding on to your morals, that's integrity. C, compassion, right? If you're going to feel empathetic for a person, you recognize their needs, their feelings, considerate in the office environments, that's compassion. And the last is sincerity. If your intentions are genuine and your actions are free from any wrong motives, it's sincerity. So that's ethical, right? But what is workplace ethics? That's only ethics. But what is workplace ethics and why we think that it should be important to us? Anyone? Like when you're coming to office, why you think workplace ethics is that important?
Hi, Nagendra this side. I think
Yeah.
because at a workplace, many of us works in the state government departments, and we represent our organization with these states. So that is why I think it is very morally and ethically important to follow the ethics, so that we can pitch a a good image and brand image of our organization in front of the states. I think that's why it is very important.
That's right. So one major thing, like if you're not ethical, that's going to have a reputational damage to your organization, right? So that's a very good point you brought. Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. And that was from a state perspective, right? But what about your internal organization? How it is important to be at your best behavior when you're working in office, and how it is going to affect in a positive way.
Because by following the right and not right, by following the ethics internally, it's about building trust between the team members who work
Yeah.
in the same organization.
Yeah.
And there is a system that is created for all the employees or for all the stakeholders involved in that organization. And following that system in a correct way uh, is very important internally in the company.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely, that's right. So basically, if you are that's going to build in trust, what you said. It's not only with your stakeholders, but also with your also with your colleagues, right? It's how you trust each other, and when there is a trust, it's a positive environment where you work, right? And that's how collaboration flourishes anywhere, right? So if you're going to trust your colleague and that person can easily collaborate with you, like if I'm trusting Rishi, he can easily collaborate with me, and it's like either way, right? So that is very important. Apart from that, what you said, the second point was bang on, like that's correct. If your ethical behavior is going to have it's going to safeguard the organizational reputation, especially in today's world, right? We all know how social media works, how the world is interconnected today. So the news of one unethical practice is going to widespread easily, and that's going to damage both the brand image as well as your customers' trust. That's right. So there was one incident in one organization where a female was using some Sodexo cards or something, and she was using it for her personal benefit, and that thing just got widespread in the news everywhere across. So that company was not only it lost its brand image, but also the trust of its customers, right? So it's not only important to internally, but also at a organizational level. That's right. Any questions so far?
Rachna, I would just like to request you to keep it in Hindi and English both, so that
Okay.
it will become easy for all the
Ah,
participants.
okay, okay, sure. Any questions till now? ठीक है. Can we move to the next slide?
I'm trying out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, confidentiality. So, anyone knows about confidentiality? किसी को पता है क्या है? Like क्यों
Yes,
confidentiality? Why it is? क्यों इतना important है?
important इसलिए कि we deal with a lot of information and data which is confidential in nature, which is not supposed to share with anyone जिसके पास to whom मतलब जिसको share करने के लिए we don't have the permission to share it with third parties, and
Yeah.
also that is why, and that data might hamper the organization in
Hmm.
many aspects, and that is why confidentiality is very important, and that is why it needs to be there, and we need to follow the confidentiality of these parameters. Plus, when we sign up for the organization, there is a confidentiality clause in our offer letter, which is always there, which we sign, which legally bind us not to disclose the confidential data. So it's always better to follow the confidentiality to mitigate the litigations associated with it.
That's right. Yeah. So also simple example, right? मतलब how it is important. हम घर की चाबी थोड़ी ना किसी को भी दे सकते हैं because it's important, right? It's important to safeguard our house. So in similar ways, it is important to safeguard the organization as well, right? We cannot just disclose the information because that is how our loyalty lies there. Correct? You can give the keys of your house only to the person you trust, right? Only to your relatives, maybe. Okay. You cannot give it to anyone else. किसी को भी नहीं trust कर सकते. So that is how it is. Exactly the same thing works here. So not only confidentiality of organization we talk here, we also talk about how we are going to respect the privacy of co-workers, correct? Like when you're on floor, you cannot gossip or share personal information about anyone without their consent, right? We all have done gossips, we get involved in gossip, but this is like restrict yourself from sharing personal information, talking on floor about anyone's personal life, right? And also maintaining companies privacy and confidentiality. Like if you see, for example, if you see कि anyone's desk is just unlocked, you cannot go and put, बहुत सारे लोगों को रहता है कि I'll just go and put some email on behalf of that person, right? But that's incorrect because maybe that person has some confidential information on his system which we cannot see, right? So just go and lock the computer. You cannot play around and put random emails on the person's behalf in the absence. So that is what confidentiality is, right? We all have seen there are piles of paper lying on a person's desk. Just let's keep the desk clean, right? Whenever you're going away from your desk, just not have that pile of paper lying around the desk everywhere. Just keep it safe in your locker or wherever that is the designated place to keep that files or that papers. ओके, अगर वो पेपर नहीं चाहिए तो जस्ट श्रेड इट ऑफ, श्रेड में डाल दो और जस्ट destroy that papers if that is not needed, but वो डेस्क पे मत रखो ऐसे. It's not correct because कोई भी आके वो papers देख सकता है and it will of course it is going to hamper company के जो privacy or confidentialities है, जो तुम्हारे agreements MOUs है. So it's if they see and they are not supposed to see, then इट्स डिफिकल्ट, राइट? इसलिए श्रेड कर दो वो पेपर्स अगर नहीं चाहिए तो, राइट? या अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट ऑलवेज लॉक योर कंप्यूटर, सिंस सिक्योर्ड पासवर्ड यूज करो. आई एम श्योर योर कंपनी विल बी हैविंग कि कैसे यू हैव टू चेंज द पासवर्ड्स लाइक आफ्टर 10 months or after 6 months, कोई एक ड्यूरेशन रहेगा. इफ यू आर गेटिंग दैट मेल्स दैट चेंज द पासवर्ड, तो पासवर्ड चेंज कर दो immediately. That is for a reason, because companies don't want you to have the same password for a long time. Don't share your password. Never share your password. जो तुम्हारे कंप्यूटर का पासवर्ड है किसी को भी मत शेयर करो. Suppose you are not there in office and you have some urgent thing to be sent. Don't say that okay, you can go on my system, unlock my computer, this is my password. Never do that, right? Anyone has any questions till now? Okay. Anand says no. Okay. But have you come across any such thing कि you have seen कि किसी के papers lying around है, किसी का desk open है, तो कोई जाके कुछ sweets at my desk, I'm getting married वाला mail भेज रहा है. करते हो क्या ऐसे? We used to do, but now it's not allowed. So okay. So next slide.
So,
Yeah, Anand. Yes, go ahead, Anand. We can hear you.
so we used to do it in the previous organization where there is an availability of uh, knowing all the information in the previous organization, and because that is a public sector unit.
Hmm.
But here everything is confidentiality. We are not supposed to know the colleagues' data. For example, their address, their personal information, or salary, anything. So
Yeah.
here we are not doing.
Yes. Plus, you should also avoid asking that questions, right? Like salary क्या है या फिर any personal or confidential information. You cannot ask about that information to your colleagues. That's wrong. Okay.
Rachna, do you want me to move to the next slide?
Yes, you can move to the next slide unless anyone has questions on this. Okay. Limiting access to the sensitive information. So this is also very important. कि whatever access you have should be role based. मतलब I don't know if your organization you have this role based access या नहीं. अगर तुम्हें वो information नहीं दिखनी चाहिए, then your role should be such a way that it like your you should be granted a role in such a way that you will not see that information. And I hope कि ये तुम्हारे organization में है. If नहीं, then I would recommend Prasad to take this point. Like it should be a role based access so that you do not have to struggle कि किसको कौन सा access मिलना चाहिए. There is a suppose there are multiple files on in your shared system, and only certain percentage, like only for example Anant Abhimanyu has needs to have access, then the role should be created in such a way that only Anant and Abhimanyu can see that and no one else, right? So suppose Rachna and Rishi are trying to access that folder also, हम लोग को access नहीं मिलना चाहिए. So that is how you do a role based access, which is very important, to only restrict the access to certain people so that everyone cannot go and see that data. So, do you have a role-based access in your organization?
Yes, Rachna. Thank you for bringing out the point. So our file owners provide access in such a way that only a responsible person has an access to that file, or let's say a document. Other than we don't have. For example, HR has to send something, then they limit the access to their superiors. I mean, to the manager and their team members. Beyond, nobody can have an access to any of the information. So yeah, we do follow that.
Okay, which is good. Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, it's all about encrypting the data, right? मतलब अगर बहुत सारा डेटा क्लाउड पे है या कोई भी डेटाबेस पे सेव्ड है, तो इफ यू आर नॉट सपोज टू सी तो सेंसिटिव डेटा जैसे है सैलरी, पासवर्ड्स, पीआई इंफॉर्मेशन, पर्सनल इंफॉर्मेशन, इसको एनक्रिप्ट करना ज़रूरी है सो दैट एवरीवन डजंट हैव एक्सेस. वो अ, जो भी ऐसे इंफॉर्मेशन लाइक सैलरी स्पेशली, राइट? अगर वो एनक्रिप्टेड है डेटाबेस में, तो अगर कुछ if there is a loophole in your system and someone is able to enter the system, तो भी वो ये सब PI information नहीं देख पाएगा. So it's important to encrypt your data wherever possible, right? Um, especially sensitive information regarding the schools, right? Agar I know like Lahi is involved in lot of school activities, तो students का जो data रहता है वो that is very sensitive, right? तो जब भी enrollment होते हैं school students के या उनका data PI रहता है, personal information जो रहता है, it's very it should be protected because you do not want to reveal the details of that kid. Correct. So it has to be safeguarded by the company and by you all. By individually, सब लोग को ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि all this data, whatever is shared between the schools, from the students to you guys, have to be protected. Okay. So
Yeah,
anything,
we
any,
also we take a lot of pictures of
yeah,
students.
correct.
So we can ask them also if they are okay, if
Yeah.
that can be shared
On media, social
elsewhere.
media.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So have anyone come across any such thing? What data you need to protect when you go to schools? Any teachers over here or any school staff, frontliners?
I think I can start with an example. So even when we ask students some personal information, they firstly get hesitated and then they ask us, why do you need so much of information? For example, if we ask them the annual income of their parents or where do they live, or even if we ask them for phone number, there are some students who they hesitate to share. So once we tell them that the purpose is so and so, and for that the information is mandatory, then they are able to uh, share the information. So yeah, I mean, we also face challenges in the field in school also. I remember we provide a monthly a report to a school, and since COVID we are doing it online. So there the principals are supposed to upload their signature, and then we consider that has been uh, looked by the HM, the principal, and then it is approved also. I mean, they agree to whatever the information is being shared with them. But initially, when we went to them and asked them to share their signature on the document, they were quite hesitant.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had challenges.
Yeah, and I think it all comes with a trust. Lies a big organization, and when that trust is built, automatically, I think, and I'm sure the way you guys must be protecting the data is it's highly protected. It must be, and that is how the trust will be built as you carry on that partnership with the schools. So yeah, but it's important to tell them that you take all this measures so that they have that confidence in the organization and then individually each one of you. Okay, can we move to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay, organizational policy and code of conduct. So, so what is code of conduct? Anyone, like, what do you think when we say code of conduct? Okay. Also, it's basically nothing but how you conduct yourself at workplace, right? Like how you dress. If I dress which is not correct for my work environment, will you guys take me seriously? No. So I have to dress properly, right? Especially the frontliners and others who are going to go to the schools and they are going to teach the students, right? They are the frontliners and the students are going to look up to them. So it's very important how they dress. It has to be formals or whatever your company has uh, maintained in the books, like what type of dress code is correct or professional, right? You have to keep that way. Completing, so there are some points which I wanted to talk about is like completing work on time. So how important it is completing work on time, right? So especially if something is r- like you have to send a report, say by end of this week, right? It is easily to manage your time effectively, prioritize your tasks so that you can meet the deadline. So by adhering to this deadline, you're going to just demonstrate your own accountability. You're going to contribute to not only your success but also the success of project. So that is how is you're going to you have to meet your deadlines. Also, following the checking and checkout times. I don't know what are your checking checkout times. So, for example, it's 9 to 5. अगर 9 to 5 आना है, so make sure that you follow that time because that is how you showcase your punctuality, right? If your leaders, for example, are not following the time, maybe you will not follow the time, right? If you're not following the time, maybe your juniors will not follow the time. So and the work culture will go for the toss, right? So that's not how you maintain discipline in organization. तो अगर 9 to 5 का time है and you're leaving home at 8:45, तो मुंबई में तो नहीं पहुंच पाओगे, काम पे टाइम से. सो मेक श्योर 8 बजे निकलो, 9 बजे तक ऑफिस पहुंचो, राइट. रीडिंग योर ईमेल्स. बहुत बड़े बड़े ईमेल्स आते हैं, लाइक इवन वी गेट लॉट ऑफ ईमेल्स. एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द ईमेल्स अगर लीडरशिप से आ रहे हैं या एचआर से आ रहे हैं या इट्स समथिंग फ्रॉम योर अकाउंटिंग टीम, राइट, इग्नोर. वी जनरली इग्नोर बिकॉज हम लोग को लगता है यार ये बाद में कर लेंगे, ये बाद में पढ़ लेंगे, बट दे आर इम्पोर्टेंट. इफ यू डोंट रीड देम इट्स गोइंग टू बी लाइक कंफ्यूजन. यू गेट द कंफ्यूजन, नहीं समझता फिर कुछ. देन यू गो एंड आस्क योर कलीग्स, राइट. अगेन द वेस्ट ऑफ टाइम, तुम्हारा वेस्ट ऑफ टाइम, तुम्हारे कलीग का वेस्ट ऑफ टाइम. समटाइम जस्ट गोइंग थ्रू द ईमेल समझ जाता है. लाइक इफ यू रीड द ईमेल वंस, यू नो दैट ट्रांसपेरेंसी मेंटेन हो रहा है, लीडरशिप से कुछ आ रहा है, दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट. अगर कुछ चेंजेस है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लीडरशिप में, so you need to be updated, right? वो सब, that's why it is very important. HR की policies में कुछ change होने वाला है, it is very important. Instead of going HR तक जाना, it's important. if अगर मेल पड़ा हो तो it's important कि समझ जाता है whatever are the HR changes, policies में changes होने वाले हैं. Apart from that, dress code, correct? So जैसे I started with the topic how important it is for you guys to maintain the dress code, especially internally in the organization, also when you're interacting with the school students, right? When you're working in office, adhere to the specific dress code, whatever your organization has said. Business casuals hai, business formals hai, whatever they have said, but it's going to reflect the professionalism not only for you but also for your organization. Any questions so far?
Anything uh, anybody would like to share as an experience?
Yeah.
Maybe a story, any incident that you would like to share. थोड़ा सब लोग कंट्रीब्यूट करो बिकॉज मैंने इनको प्रॉमिस किया था कि ये बी इंटरैक्टिव एंड आई कैन सी पीपल आर नॉट रियली एबल टू शेयर मच.
Okay, no problem. You can keep it whenever you have any questions. You can just stop us. That's fine. So with this, I will hand it over to Rishi. He can walk you through the further slides. Yeah, Rishi, over to you.
Thanks, Rachna. Prasad, next slide
Yeah.
पर जाओ ना please.
Yeah.
Okay. So responsibilities. The core crux of this slide, जो एकदम मूल मंत्र है इस स्लाइड का, दैट इज कि आपकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज क्या है व्हेन यू हैव अ जॉब. ओके, तो व्हेन यू आर वर्किंग इन अ पर्टिकुलर जॉब, एनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन फॉर दैट मैटर, कहीं पे भी आप काम कर रहे हो, अगर आप अपना जॉब अच्छे से समझ रहे हो तो आपके लिए वो बहुत आसान हो जाता है. Not just to complete your work, but it also becomes very easy to get done with the work like that. Okay, so the read the first line. Understanding the responsibilities outlined in one's job description and working diligently to fulfill them. So इस पॉइंट का मीनिंग क्या है कि आपका जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज है आप उसको अच्छे से समझ पाओ अगर, इफ यू आर एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड इट इन डेप्थ. ओके, एंड आप उसकी तरफ काम करो शिद्दत से, सो वर्किंग डिलिजेंटली टुवर्ड्स दैट. ओके, देन द जॉब becomes more enjoyable, it becomes easier, it becomes fun as well. So like the kind of job that I have here, I've been doing this kind of job since almost a decade now. ठीक है, मुझे 10 साल से ज़्यादा हो गए अभी जो काम कर रहा हूँ वही काम करते करते. सो द थिंग इज कि जब कोई आता है कोई नया बंदा कि यार ये काम कैसे करते हो, तो उनको समझाने में भी मजा आता है, खुद तो कर ही रहे हैं तो मजा आता ही है, राइट? सो दैट इज द importance of understanding your responsibilities. Okay. The second point, when you understand your responsibilities effectively and thoroughly, एक बार अच्छे से समझ में आ गई कि मेरी जिम्मेदारियां ये है, देन आप अपने आप कैटेगराइज कर पाओगे, जो भी आपके पास टास्क हैं उनको आप कैटेगराइज कर पाओगे कि ऑलराइट, दिस इज अ हाई प्रायोरिटी थिंग, ओके, and this needs to be done right away, or you can say all right, this is not a very high priority thing, इसको अपन बाद में भी कर सकते हैं, ठीक है? सो फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर आपको बच्चे की स्कूल फीस भरनी है, ठीक है, सो दैट इज एन इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग। अगर आप नहीं भर पा रहे हैं तो बच्चे को क्लास के बाहर खड़ा कर दिया जाएगा, या may not be able to attend that class, right? Since you are working with students mostly, so I think this is a very relevant example. For whatever reasons, कोई भी reason हो, if the student is not able to um, get the benefit of that education, then it's no point, right? So a task like that, जहाँ पे आपको फीस पे करना है, is definitely an important one. जितना जल्दी हो सके कर दो, खत्म करो, ठीक है? Another thing, like let's say a lot of schools have discipline criteria, like your hair should be this length, um, girls have to have a pony tie, whatever, things like that, right? So that is also a priority, okay? And you do that regularly. But sometimes if you skip once in a blue moon, कभी एक बार धोखे में हो गया कि लेट हो रहा है, बाल नहीं बनाया, ठीक है चलेगा, दैट इज स्टिल फाइन, बट दैट इज एग्जैक्टली it is important to understand the responsibilities. Once you understand your job responsibilities and the duties that are assigned to you, आपको जैसे ही समझ में आ जाएंगी सारी जिम्मेदारियां और जो भी आपसे एक्सपेक्टेड है, आप बहुत अच्छे तरीके से अपना काम कर पाओगे। एंड ऑफ कोर्स द पीपल हु एक्सेल इन देयर वर्क, जो अच्छा काम करते हैं उनको प्रमोशन भी मिलता है, सो आपका भी फायदा है इसमें, right? Seeking assistance or clarification from supervisor. Now, a lot of times, companies may put some jargons in the job rules, right? कि हमको ये चाहिए और कुछ एक jargon डाल दिया, and it is okay if you don't know. एक बहुत पुरानी कहावत है कि only a fool knows everything. तो जो अगर कोई ऐसा बोलता है ना कि भाई मुझे सब पता है, मुझे सब पता है, उनको बस दूर से हाँ भैया, हमको आपसे कुछ पूछना नहीं है, कुछ मतलब हाल-चाल पूछ लो ठीक है, बट काम के रिलेटेड जितना दूर रहो उतना अच्छा। सो दैट इज़ ओके, बट देन अगेन व्हेन यू डोंट अंडरस्टैंड समथिंग, you should ask, okay? And not just one person, you can ask multiple people, right? So like me, Smita, Rachna, we are all working for JP Morgan Chase, right? So अगर कल को कुछ नई पॉलिसी आती है एंड मेरे को समझ में नहीं आया कि भाई ये कहना क्या चाह रहे हैं, आई नो कि आई कैन गो अप टू रचना एंड से कि यार तेरे को समझा क्या ये, समझा तो मेरे को भी बताना, खत्म, राइट? सो दैट इज एंड दैट हेल्प्स मी इन डिलीवरिंग द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज दैट आई हैव, ठीक है? सो जो भी अगर मेरा मैनेजर मेरे को बोलता है कि भाई ये काम करना है, ठीक है, मैंने वो पहले नहीं किया है, पिछले कंपनी में कभी नहीं किया था, कोई बात नहीं, बट अभी करना है, आई कैन गो आस्क माय मैनेजर कि व्हाट इज दिस, कैन यू हेल्प मी अंडरस्टैंड, ठीक है, मैनेजर अवेलेबल नहीं है, आई कैन गो टू सम अदर पर्सन कि माय कॉलीग or someone who has been with the ऑर्गेनाइजेशन फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम कि यार ये काम है, आपने कभी किया है क्या पहले? अगर किया है तो प्लीज़ बता दो। एंड शेयरिंग इज़ केयरिंग, राइट? सो it helps you. The last point, and I think this is very important one, taking ownership of task and demonstrating accountability for outcomes, right? So I'll take this slide as an example, the one that you're looking at. So जब प्रसाद ने स्मिता को बोला कि ऐसा ऐसा है, ये कवर करना है, ठीक है? Suresh, do you have a question? Okay, sorry about that. So, taking ownership. So, when Prasad said that this needs to be done, okay, then me and Rachna, we took the ownership of creating this slide. Okay, so we sat together, we brainstormed ki, and we were like कि बहुत सारे points नहीं डालने हैं. Let's keep it short because सिर्फ points देखना है तो सिर्फ slide दे देंगे, हो गया काम खत्म. It needs to be where, I mean, if we are meeting even virtually, it needs to be such a way so that आपका कुछ तो फायदा हो, right? 1 घंटा यहाँ पे दे रहे हो, so your time should be utilized, right? And that's the last point, taking ownership and demonstrating accountability for outcomes. So आपका काम होना चाहिए, that is being accountable. And of course, when you're accountable, people rely on you, and when people rely on you, you easily climb up the ladder. And not just that, you also get admired and adored by a lot of your colleagues and everyone that you meet in your office, right? So that's the last point. Any doubts, questions? यहाँ पे? If not, then we can go to the next slide. No doubts? Sorry, Anand, go ahead. Okay. So the next point is record keeping. This is to help you all understand the importance of documentation and daily logs. So काफी बार ऐसा होता है कि आप कुछ कर रहे हो आज, उसका इमीडिएट इफेक्ट नहीं है, मे बी 3 महीने बाद, 4 महीने बाद कुछ इफेक्ट है. बट 3 या 4 महीने बाद कोई आपको पूछेगा कि यार उस दिन पे, इस तारीख पे, व्हाट डिड यू डू? Then it becomes difficult if you don't have the documentation and the daily log for it, right? So that is the value of documentation. When you document, जब आप कुछ document कर देते हो, so एक मीटिंग होती है, मीटिंग के बाद अगर आप minutes of meeting भेज देते हो, MOM, minutes of meeting, तो 6 महीने बाद भी, बिकॉज वहाँ पे ईमेल में minutes of meeting लिखा हुआ है, even if you forget something or if someone else forgets something, they can just look up the MOM and they will be able to understand कि हाँ, ये मीटिंग का तात्पर्य ये था, and this is exactly what we were supposed to do, and life goes on, right? So not just that, the documentation also helps you in a lot of things. Like I'm sure आप लोगों का भी ईयर एंड अप्रेजल होता होगा अप्रैल मार्च में, राइट? सो अगर आपने डॉक्यूमेंट कर रखा है सब कुछ, सो आप फेब मार्च जब भी आपका हो रहा है, आप अपने डॉक्यूमेंट से भी रीड करके बता सकते हो कि मैंने ये काम किया है पूरे साल भर में. आपको साल भर का, यू मे नॉट रिमेम्बर इट एट द टॉप ऑफ योर हेड, सो इट्स ऑलवेज इम्पॉर्टेंट एंड इट्स ईजियर if you have documented it. So आपका प्रोग्रेस ट्रैक करना है, आपको कुछ इम्पोर्टेंट इन्फॉर्मेशन नोट करके रखना है, it helps a lot. Okay, record keeping is very important. And if you remember from the previous slide, it should also be a part of your responsibilities. So um, there, I mean, some organizations have this clause, some don't. But then for your own benefit, अपने खुद के फायदे के लिए, it is important and it's good if you document everything. अगर आप डिटेल रिकॉर्ड्स रखोगे हर मीटिंग के, हर प्रोजेक्ट के, तो आपको डिसीजंस लेने में भी काफ़ी आसानी हो जाती है. सो लाइक even this meeting, we created this slide and we sent it to Smita. Smita sent it to Prasad, right? So वो डिटेल ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड है. एंड अभी मेरे को क्या करना है मेरे डेस्क पे, I don't have to actually do anything. Prasad will click next on the next slide for me, right? So there are numerous benefits of keeping records, right? And अगर आप काफ़ी बार ऐसा होता है कि स्क्रिबल करके रख देते हैं कहीं पे रिकॉर्ड्स या कुछ नोट्स, एंड देन 6 महीने बाद देख रहे हैं तो अरे यार ये मैंने क्या लिखा था? पता नहीं, समझ में नहीं आ रहा. So it's always good if you have your information in a structured format. So me personally मैं ऐसा करता हूँ कि I have an Excel, और Excel में मेरा एक डेट कॉलम है जहाँ पे मैं डेट डालता हूँ. नेक्स्ट एक टाइम कॉलम है, अगर मेरे को कुछ स्पेसिफिक टाइम पे ही कुछ है तो मैं वो टाइम कॉलम में मैं कुछ डालूँगा कि इतने टाइम पे. फिर एक टास्क जिसमें एक हाई लेवल इन्फॉर्मेशन, ठीक है. फिर बाद में एक नेक्स्ट कॉलम जिसमें डिटेल्स रहता है, तो वो टास्क का क्या डिटेल्स, मतलब वहाँ पे मैं जितना लिख सकता हूँ मैं लिख देता हूँ. एंड दैट इज़ ओनली फॉर मी. अगर मेरे को कल को वापस जाके देखना है कि ये क्या है, तो इट बिकम्स ईज़ी. एंड देन द लास्ट कॉलम दैट आई हैव इज़ द ड्यू डेट, कि ये कितनी तारीख तक खत्म करना है. अगर वो आज के आज ही खत्म करना है, तो आज का डेट. हफ्ते बाद बात करना है, तो हफ्ते भर बाद का डेट, व्हाटएवर, राइट? So I have this structured format, and it becomes very easy if you to create some structure. जैसा मेरा है, it's not important that आप लोग वैसा ही रखो. चांसेस आर कि आपको शायद कुछ अलग बेटर सूट करे. So whatever suits for you, right? And this also helps with the accessibility compliance with data retention. सो आपके अगर कंपनी की कुछ डेटा रिटेंशन पॉलिसीज़ भी हैं कि 6 महीने बाद 6 महीने पहले क्या किया था, ये डेटा निकाल के दो, तो आपके पास डेटा भी वो हैंडी रहेगा. एंड आई एम श्योर कि आप लोगों को, सिंस यू आर वर्किंग विद स्टूडेंट्स, अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स ऐसा होता होगा कि आपको हैव टू गो बैक टू some data from last year. And I'm sure if you do this record keeping, it will help you and the organization as well. And that's about it for the record keeping. Any doubts or questions here? Okay,
Anybody would
see.
like to share their experience, how they maintain their daily log, any practices that you follow? Please do share.
Please. I might learn something new.
Yeah.
So, जैसे मैंने अपना शेयर किया कि डेट, टास्क, टाइम, ऐसे मैं ये सारे कॉलम्स डालता हूँ. आप लोग भी अगर कुछ अलग कॉलम डाल रहे हो तो
I'll share my experience with you. So
हाँ.
when I was working with my previous organization, we used to have a very rigorous appraisal system where you sit with your supervisor and then you sit with your supervisor and the project head. And at the end of the year, you will not remember a lot of things or a lot of incidences where you could tell them why you rated yourself so high. Well, I learned it from there, and now I keep a tracker kind of a daily record where I write my daily tasks and also the tasks which were done well or could help me in my appraisal. So I highlight them. So it becomes easy to find also. You don't have to go to each point of each month and then check all the rows of Excels. You can simply find out the highlight ones and can write it in your appraisal because it is very important.
I will share one experience, Rishi. So what I do is, मैंने एक notepad open रखती हूँ and I write my to do items every day. Suppose मेरे 10 to do items हैं, so I write that at the beginning of the day. और जब भी वो day end होता है, it feels so good to check that जो जो खत्म हुए हैं and जो नहीं खत्म हुए that goes into the next day. जो खत्म हुआ है I just delete that off. So that is how I maintain my to-do list and record keeping.
All right, thanks for sharing. I think now everyone knows 3 ways of keeping the records. All right, let's go to the next slide. So, transparency. Um, so records, now all the slides are interconnected. Okay. So responsibilities से आपका record keeping भी आता है, record keeping से आपका transparency भी आता है. So transparency क्या होता है? Before I dive into the slide, any questions or any guesses? Sorry, not questions. Any guesses about what is transparency? किस चिड़िया का नाम है ट्रांसपेरेंसी क्या होता है? अच्छा, अगर आप लोगों को if you don't want to speak, that's fine. There's also a chat going, so you can put your questions or your suggestions or your guesses in the chat. So I've just sent 2 messages there. Should help you all. Okay, transparency. So when you keep your records, okay, काफ़ी बार ऐसा होता है कि कुछ एक प्रॉब्लम है जो काफ़ी टाइम से चल रही है, बट आपको पता नहीं है कि कब से चल रही है। मतलब अगर आपके सुपरवाइज़र ने पूछा कि अरे ये क्या हो रहा है? कब से हो रहा है? सो अगर आपके पास रिकॉर्ड है, तो आपको भी पता रहता है। तो अगर कुछ एक प्रॉब्लम है जो आज अराइज़ हुई, ठीक है? आपने बोला कि चलो लेट मी वेट टिल टुमारो, मोस्ट लाइकली कल तक ये सॉल्व हो जानी चाहिए। ठीक है, अगले दिन देखा नहीं हुई। तीसरे दिन देखा फिर भी नहीं हुई। So then, if you have your records, you can also go back to the records and say that this is a problem since 3 days now, right? Also, it is important, very important to keep things transparent with not just your supervisor but also your team. So, अगर आपको कुछ प्रॉब्लम है, कोई इश्यू आ रहा है बार-बार, इट कैन बी एनीथिंग। आई थिंक आप लोगों ने जैसे अभी बोला कि यू ऑल्सो वर्क विद स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, राइट? I think I've worked with Glenda and India for one of the school projects, but glad to know that you work with um, state government as well. So let's say अगर आपको कुछ प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है for whatever reasons, right? अगर आप अपने कॉलीग से या अपने मैनेजर से बता के रख रहे हो कि this is the problem that has been coming and it's been coming since so and so time, then it helps your case itself, right? And that is exactly what transparency is. You share whatever issues, challenges, whatever it is that you're facing, which you're not able to overcome, you share that in a timely basis. So अगर आपका एक दिन हो गया नहीं हुआ है, दूसरा दिन हो गया नहीं हुआ, तीसरा दिन हो गया, you keep your manager informed, this is something that is going on since 3 days. And okay, Toran has put something. Proper update to team members, sharing records, policy major decisions, meeting update, etc. Yes, correct, Toran. So this is exactly what I meant, transparency. You keep your team members informed, you keep your managers informed. इसमें एक फ़ायदा ये भी है कि लेट्स से फॉर व्हाटएवर रीज़न अगर कल कुछ इम्पोर्टेंट चीज़ है बट आई एम नॉट कीपिंग वेल, ओके, या कुछ इमरजेंसी आ गई एंड आई एम नॉट एबल टू कम टू वर्क, ओके, मैंने रचना को सारा बता रखा था, रचना कैन टेक दैट फॉरवर्ड, राइट? और even if I talk about my manager and I say I've kept my manager informed, then even my manager can take it forward, right? So this is promptly and upfrontly notifying people. Okay, a lot of times you also get solutions from your colleagues and peers. So collaborating with that team, with your entire team, can actually help you come out of that problem or that challenge, okay? And it is perfectly all right. I think I said like 5 minutes ago कि only a fool knows everything. So कभी ये मत सोचना कि मेरे को सब आता है, मेरे को सब आता है. There is always room for improvement, right? So when you recognize that there is room for improvement, that is when you will automatically seek help, okay? You will be able to admit that this is difficult, and admitting something difficult is not any type of cowardice. किसी तरह की कायरता नहीं है. When you say that this is getting difficult, it is actually a sign of strength. कि this person knows their strength as well as what is difficult for them. And होती हैं कुछ चीज़ें difficult. I think when we were kids in the second standard, कोई मैथ्स के टीचर बोलते थे कि भाई 2 की टेबल बोलो, तो इट वाज डिफिकल्ट बैक देन, राइट? बट नाउ सबको पता है 2 की टेबल, राइट? सो थिंग्स लाइक दैट. एनी डाउट्स, क्वेश्चंस हियर? Prasad, just
Yeah.
one thing, the meeting is till 3:15, right?
3:30.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All right. Team, any other questions, doubts? Okay, we can go to the next slide then. एक और होगी, हाँ, protocol. This is one very important slide. Okay. So the meeting, whenever a meeting is set, okay, first and foremost, सबसे पहली चीज जो आपको करनी चाहिए is try to understand कि ये meeting क्यों है, and इस meeting में जाने से आपका क्या फायदा होने वाला है. So when you understand the purpose of the meeting and the agenda of the meeting, it helps you understand कि how is it going to help me, मेरा क्या फायदा होने वाला है इस मीटिंग में जाके. एंड इट ऑल्सो हेल्प्स यू अंडरस्टैंड कि हाँ, ये चीजें मैंने काफी बार कर ली है. कैलाश, I think Kailash is out. But
Prasad, can you make
yeah.
my channel?
okay. Thanks, Prasad. Okay. So the meeting etiquettes, circling back to that. So one of the things is to never multitask during a meeting, right? Because then things like that can happen. And trust me, I'll just share one short experience. There was this one person, and he did not realize that his mic had gone unmute, and he said that he was not sure if he should be in that meeting or not. And everyone in the meeting heard that. Okay. So things like that can happen. So one of the very important etiquette of meeting is to make sure that you don't multitask. Okay. So right now my keyboard is here, my hands are just completely free. I'm entirely focused here on the slide, on the questions, on the chat, the things that can come up, right? So it is important, and it is, you also have to understand that किसी और ने आपके लिए टाइम निकाला है, ठीक है? So don't make the other person feel as if they're trash, कि उनकी कुछ वैल्यू ही नहीं है, ठीक है? So respect other people's time as well. On the same point, when I say respect other people's time, one of the very important protocol for every meeting, or rather the etiquette of meeting, is always show up on time. So अगर आपकी मीटिंग 2 बजे है, make sure that at 1:59 30 seconds आप Zoom डायल करना शुरू कर दो, so that by 2 o'clock sharp you are on the Zoom. If it is an in-person meeting, अगर आप personally मिल रहे हो किसी से, so make sure that आप वहाँ पे 30 to 35 seconds पहले पहुँचो, so that you are right on time. Okay. And that is what I do personally. There are a lot of meetings, and Rachna and I have some common meetings where there are also repercussions of being late. So if you're late, there are repercussions of it. So we always make sure that we are there at least 10 seconds before the meeting time. And that helps everyone understand one thing, कि जो मीटिंग होती है, it's not just you, there are मतलब 10 लोग और हैं. सो अगर आप लेट हो रहे हो तो आप अपना टाइम तो आप लेट कर ही रहे हो, और आप 10 लोग को और लेट कर रहे हो. So it goes back to your efficiency, how efficient you are. And again, tying back to the responsibilities, it's also your responsibility to make sure that your team is not delayed because of you. Yes, Nagendra.
So we can say that it's ethically not right to do these kind of a things, right?
Yes, it's not ethical.
Which
It's
also,
not.
yes,
Yeah, go ahead, Nagendra.
no, please go on.
Me, I was just saying that it's not ethical, it's not efficient, it's not a sign of responsibility. So, I mean, it is a very small thing. Okay. आपको अगर स्टेयर्स चढ़ के जाना है 10 फ्लोर, sure, I can understand कि that will take some effort. Okay. But being on time, it does not take a lot of effort. So, meeting है आपकी, make sure that you are there at least 10 to 15 seconds before that meeting starts. That is what I prefer to do. So, and that is what I advise, right? And it also helps everyone in the team to be on time and be efficient. So, there are not other peoples who are waiting just because one person is late, right? And it's fine, even if you're getting late. Um, it is absolutely fine. We are all humans. कभी कभी हो जाती है देरी. That is fine. If you're running late, then what do you do? Let me ask you that. अगर आप लेट हो रहे हो किसी मीटिंग के लिए तो आप क्या करते हो?
मैं पर्सनली आई ऑलवेज प्रेफर टू ऑलवेज कम्युनिकेट थिंग्स कि मैं लेट हूँ या नहीं हूँ, unless and until it is unintentional.
Perfect. So going back to the previous slide, right? Record keeping transparency. So it is fine. Sometimes we all get late. Sometimes, although that should not be a habit. कभी कभी late हो जाते हैं. So when you are late, all you have to do is just pick up your phone, drop a message. Okay. आप अपने टीम को मैसेज कर दो. टीम में से किसी एक स्पेशल या कोई एक जो आपका फ्रेंड है, जो आपको लगता है कि दिस पर्सन विल बी एबल टू कवर फॉर मी, उनको मैसेज कर दो कि हाय, आई एम गोना बी मे बी 5 minutes लेट. ओके. या एंड इट इज फाइन. Even I do that. I try to be on time, but at times when I am late, I message ki hey, I'll be like 5 minutes late or 2 minutes late. Okay. That way the other person is not waiting for me on the Zoom or on the meeting. And अगर सिर्फ 2 जन की meeting है, like let's say me and Rachna, we are meeting, okay, although we are on the same floor, so we won't probably meet on Zoom. But if I tell her कि oh, hey, I'm gonna be like 5 minutes late, so 5 minutes अगर उसको पानी लेके आना है रचना को, या कुछ एक important phone call करना है छोटा सा, that can wrap up in 5 minutes, she can do that, right? So it also helps the other person as well. Okay. And if, of course, if there are multiple people, then they will wait for you, or they know that they're not waiting unnecessarily. So they can start. Okay. So that's very important. And one of the things, and I really appreciate Nagendra you for this, is active listening. Okay. So अगर कोई कुछ बोल रहा है, listen to them ध्यान से, not just for the sake of it, right? कि सिर्फ सुनना है, हाँ, ठीक है भाई, मतलब आप आए हो, आपने भी अपना टाइम निकाला है for this meeting, तो then actively listen. You can ask questions, and it's okay to ask questions. Okay. It's in fact very important to ask questions, and that shows your interest, that shows your curiosity and your hunger for learning, right? So ask questions, offer constructive input. So like Nagendra is giving so many inputs. Toran, he sent a message in the chat. So there are different forms of communication. If one form is not suitable for you, it's fine. Switch to another till you find something that's suitable for you. जो भी आपको अच्छा लगे, ठीक है? And keep doing that. So I think that's about it for etiquettes of meeting. In summary, I would just say that first of all, whenever you get a meeting invite, try to understand कि मेरे को क्यों जाना है ये मीटिंग में, what's in it for me, मेरा क्या फायदा है इस मीटिंग में जाने से, ठीक है? And accordingly you can take decisions. Arriving on time. So like I said, when you are on time, you help yourself and you help everyone else too. So it is, to Nagin's point, it is ethical, it is efficient, it is everything good when you're on time. But then again, we are all humans. इंसानों से कभी कभी गलतियां हो जाती है. So if you're late, just drop a message. Okay. Listen carefully. Listen to understand, not just to listen. And if there is something that's required to be done later after the meeting, make sure that you follow up on that. And any questions, doubts on this one?
Hello, this is Rashmi. Um, talking from HO,
Yes.
HR department. Okay. So actually, Rishikesh and Rachna, overall this presentation, it was a core part of our professional life, right? So
Yes.
it is not much of like doubt. The way you are explaining in a languages are very easy. The slides are good. So we are understanding and correlating most of them. But I thought, huh? But in between,
Thanks.
there is a line in between. The work ethics is more or less, it is connected to self-discipline, right?
Yes.
Anywhere you are, any organization, some rules, regulations, policies, code of conduct, everything. So it is a person how you go through it, how you understood it, and implementing in your day-to-day professional life or even personal life. रचना
Yes.
नाइसली सेड कि ये हम लोग ऐसा डायरी में लिख देते हैं आज मुझे ये करना है फिर एंड ऑफ द डे हम टिक मार कर लेते हैं 10 में से 8 काम हो गया 2 रह गया दिस स्किल आई हैव लर्न वन ऑफ माय सीनियर लॉन्ग बैक who is presently also head of this unit line. तो किसी भी चीज हमारा वी आर मोस्टली विथ मल्टीटास्किंग है ना वी डोंट store everything in mind and sometimes the important part is just skipped. Okay. So if you write down, note down somewhere, it helps you. Otherwise, आजकल थोड़ा स्टाइल है ये मुझे याद कराना हाँ ये मुझे याद कराना अरे थोड़ी मैं ये थोड़ी रखूंगी मेरे लिए मेरा काम मेरा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है सो इफ यू फॉलो दैट नोट सो इट्स हेल्प्स मी लॉट कि कोई काम भूल ना जाए स्किप ना जाए इवन यू कैन बिलीव जैसे आप बोले थोड़ी देर की कुछ चीजें आप फॉलो कर रहे हैं तो मुझे बोला था कि आई कैन फॉलो द गुड थिंग्स should be reflected and should learn from each other. I always follow a diary with dates. तो मुझे आप बोलेंगे कि देखो मुझे 10 तारीख के दिन फोन करना है आज तो 5 तारीख है तो इमीडिएटली तो एंटर करूंगी कि 10 तारीख को कॉल टू ऋषिकेश तो जैसे ही पन्ना पलटी होता है मुझे 10 तारीख के कैलेंडर में दिख जाते हैं कि ऋषिकेश को आज कॉल करना ओके तो ऐसे ही और कुछ ऐसे रिकॉर्ड कीपिंग में जैसे आपने बोले तो हमारे यहाँ ऐसा था कि कुछ 250-300 फाइल्स से ऐसे गट्ठा बांध के हम रखे थे लेफ्ट एम्प्लॉय लेकिन कभी कभी किसी रिज्यूम के बारे में हो किसी को क्लियरेंस दिया था नहीं ऐसा हमें कभी कभी कुछ नीड आते थे वी नीड टू सर्च सो एवरी टाइम टू सर्च वन पर्सन फाइल यू नीड टू सर्च 300 फाइल सो वी मेड इट ईयर वाइज सेग्रीगेटेड ईयर वाइज बंडल और वो सेल्फ भी नंबरिंग किया है और ईयर वाइज में भी कोड नंबर वाइज किया उसके हिसाब से एक लिस्ट बना है चेक लिस्ट रबर्ड नंबर सेल्फ नंबर ईयर एंड देन कोड वाइज तो अगर नींद में भी पूछोगे नहीं इसके रश्मि ये फाइल कहाँ पे है सो आई कैन डायरेक्ट यू कोड ओपन द कबर्ड लुक एट द राइट साइड check out the self number and the third number 5 so this is the way how we maintain our record. Good thing you said about transparency part. So if you sometimes so much की self-centered की नहीं सिर्फ मुझे पता होना चाहिए सिर्फ मुझे see when you are working somewhere you are representing a organization okay so when you are not there maybe due to so many reasons घर में कोई domestic reason है health reason है वगैरह वगैरह as you said rightly work should not get hampered of your organization due to any reason. So even though you are not there, you can send a note कि बाबा मैं आज नहीं है. These are the important things to your close colleague, your supervisor, या whosoever is going accountable person next to you. So the work should not suffer. So must go on. So it is lovely to hear you. It is the session is really everybody is aware what you are telling. Is sensitizing, boosting, and pushing others to make us realize more again and again. Because it is a human mind. सब पता है लेकिन कुछ follow नहीं होता है. We don't implement. So this kind of sessions really thankful Prasad and to both of you. ये session ना काफी sensitive रहते हैं.
Reshmi, I have one point for transparency. So in most of the organization, बड़े बड़े organization में follow किया जाता है कि जो at a certain level पहुंच जाते हैं लोग, after that they have to take a mandatory leave of 20 days.
Yeah.
And that is followed so that transparency is maintained. अगर वो person कल नहीं भी आए काम पे, उसके नीचे जितने काम करते हैं, the work shouldn't stop. So it's mandatory in the big organizations for the people at a certain position to take a mandatory leaves in a year, so that work that shows student shouldn't stop because one absent person. So what you said is a very good point, Reshmi. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't in our organization we don't have that type of
Yeah,
leave, but
not
it's
in that.
whatever
Not,
leave,
yeah.
whatever leave we have, yeah,
Yeah.
plan leave, whatever. So maybe in a year, 5, 10 days, किसी का शादी हो ये हो, maybe 2 weeks kind of thing. But whatever period you are not there in on your role, so whatever responsibility are tasked to be completed during those days. So it is the basic things, basic etiquettes to think about the team of the work of the organization that. That is done. So ensure that it is not suffered at all because of you.
That's right.
So thank you.
Anyone else would like to share something? I think I can see a lot of managers here, and they must have experienced a lot while working. So maybe you could like to share a few incidences or some of your experiences.
I think Imran sent a
Yeah.
chat. And Rashmi, thanks for sharing everything that you shared. I'll take a few of that as compliments. So thank you so much.
So Rashmi, there's a sorry, Rachana, there's a message for you. He has he, Imran is asking. So Imran is asking, is there any special term for that
It's
mandatory
called
leave?
as something. Rishi, do you remember in our organization what it is called? Furlough leave or something it is called. I can get back to you guys on that, what it is called.
I'm not sure of the word, but then
Yeah, it's
word
furlough.
हाँ word आपको Google पे मिल जाएगा.
Yeah, furlough leave. In our organization, it's called that. I can put it on.
Yeah. Anything else anybody wants to add here? Now it's a free forum, so please consider yourself free to, contribute or to add. So I think overall people seem that have understood everything so well. So I would like to thank you both Rachana and Rishikesh for taking the time out for the session also and the previous discussion that we had, and also you play. I'm sure you must have put in some time to prepare the PPT as well. So thank you so much for giving up the heads up. We know that the topic was quite relevant to our day-to-day lives, and we all are professionals. But somewhere it was needed in between of our work. Uh, I also could, when you had written a point where you need to actively listen. So I understood that I also missed that quality in me. So probably I would silently work on it. So thank you so much, both of you, to being here and spending time with us. I know Rishikesh, you had come last time also, and we had a good time then and now. So I request Rachana also to volunteer for a couple of our more sessions in the coming up time. And thank you so much to all my colleagues also from Lenda and India. आप सब लोग आए और आपने attend किया. I'm sure few contributed, but next time I think we'll have a lot of people contributing more. So thank you so much. But before we go sign off from here, let's put the cameras on. I needed to click pictures. So सब लोग अपना कैमरा शुरू कर देना प्लीज. Abhinaya has thanked you both. Everyone, please put your camera on. Thank you so much, Rachna and Rishikesh. Some final words from you.
Nothing special, but I hope the session was informational and helpful for you. I know that we did not talk about something new. The wheel is already invented, so we never wanted to reinvent the wheel, right? So I hope that it helps you all, and that's all. Thanks for being available today, and that's all that I would like to say.
Yeah, so we can stop the meeting here then. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.